Thank you for tuning in to Zim News Beat TV.
And friends, my name is Ethan Andreas Mativela. I'm the chairman of Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association, the authentic one. I have my team here before me and other members of the association. I would like to welcome the media fraternity and also thank you for coming. We, as the Zimbabwe National Liberation War Veterans Association, we have a message we would want to share with the rest of the nation. Our major issue today is about constitutionalism. Of course, we have other issues at hand, but today we would want to deal with the aspect of constitutionalism, which deals with the Constitution of the Republic of Zimbabwe. As an association, we regard the Constitution as sacrosanct. Allow me to go into the written message. Then from time to time, maybe I will elaborate here and there. I address you, my compatriots, today, the 27th day of January in the year 2025, on a matter that is not only topical in the political discourse of the country, but one that could have far-reaching implications for the people of Zimbabwe and the world at large. The matter stems from the resolution of ZANU-PF party, which was held in October 2024 in Bulawayo. Before proceeding, I want to make it abundantly clear that as an association, we are non-partisan. We are politicians, but as an association, we are non-partisan. Therefore, not a member or an affiliate of ZANU-PF. And also that Zimbabwe, as a democratic country, allows all to express themselves in a manner they feel appropriate without violating the Constitution. When some of our comrades in arms came to you yesterday, and I'm talking of Comrade Geza, to express their views on the leadership of Comrade Mnangagwa, they were not representing the association, but were just exercising their democratic right. As such, it is not our policy to comment on or interfere with the internal democratic process of a political party. It is the right of any political formation to come up with their resolutions. Our interest is drawn when such resolutions interfere with the national governing institution like the Constitution. We shall therefore address ourselves on the impact of ZANU-PF resolution to extend the term of office of current president beyond constitutional limit. A constitution of a country is not just supreme law of the land, but also provides national bearing, which guides a country navigating sometimes treacherous global environment. Any adjustment to this bearing, no matter how small, has far-reaching consequences for the nation and its relations with the international community. We believe any adjustment to the Constitution should be contemplated only when failure to adjust would hinder national progress. Therefore, the first point of call would be to identify the problem that, if not attended to constitutionality, would impede national progress. So we are asking ourselves, what made it, or what necessitated the ruling party to want to amend the Constitution? That's where we would want to know. The need to extend President E.D. Mnangagwa's term of office to 2030 or beyond cannot be viewed as a national problem at all. The Revolutionary Party identified the need for him to complete projects he started to legitimize the term extension, but in actual fact, that rationality is an indictment to the party's succession process management. Meaning that I don't think that would justify to extend someone's rule, would justify to tamper with the Constitution. While it is not our place to wade in succession battles in any political formation, it is prudent to jolt ZANU-PF's short memory by reminding them of the reasons why military launched Operation Restore Ligas in November 2017. Operation Restore Ligas was an intervention in ZANU-PF where political temperatures which were approaching a boiling point. It was that intervention that facilitated the resignation of late former President Mugabe. Hence, it was not a coup, in my view, but donozo. It was just to cool the temperatures. But that is subject for another day. It is now the same poor succession management that is threatening to engulf the nation. We would not want to think that it is the president who wants to cling to the throne, as was the case with Comrade Mugabe. For he made it abundantly clear that he was a constitutionalist who would respect the terms limits set in the Constitution. In our view, it is the party that is taking the people for a ride. They passed a resolution that is ultra-virus to the Constitution without identifying any constitutional problem. That's where our challenge, some of us find ourselves. Because then, if they had found a loophole in the Constitution or a problem in the Constitution itself, they were supposed to amend it, rather than just coming from the other way around. That attitude by ruling party was already being demonstrated on 2 amendments already effected on the current Constitution. It would be unfair to just heap blame on ZANU-PF without making reference to the legislators themselves. Our legislatures are obliged to uphold the Constitution, including making sure that it is clearly understood by the people. The need and importance to publicize the Constitution was realized at outset, and Section 7 charged the state with the responsibility of promoting public awareness of the Constitution. Of importance was the requirement to translate it into all officially recognized languages and disseminating it as widely as possible, and that be taught in schools as part of the curricula for training of members of the security services, the civil service, and members and employees of public institutions. That has not taken place. As we speak, the majority of, including myself, I have no clear understanding of the Constitution. These are the things that our honorable members should be insisting on before any amendment was contemplated. Now people are asked to consider amending a constitution they have very little understanding of. Of course, people accepted the constitution through a referendum, but its detailed understanding would only be possible through further reading and adequate publicity. Amending it before it is understood facilitates its manipulation by those in the know, in that taking people of Zimbabwe for a ride. Let's look at the amendment of the Constitution. Amending a constitution must not be trivialized as we seem to be doing. Amending the Lancaster House Constitution, for instance, within a year of the effective date was necessary because sections or part amended were an impediment to national development, both socially and economically. The first amendment was effected by Act number 27 of 81 for black advancement. That was the whole purpose of hurriedly putting it in place, or affirmative action. The original Lancaster House provisions required appointees to the Senate Legal Committee and the Judicial Service Commission to be lawyers of not less than 7 years' experience. The new government immediately realized that few blacks had requisite number of years of experience to qualify for appointment, and yet it was imperative in the new political dispensation for blacks to be appointed to key institutions. That's justifiable enough. The second amendment was effected by Act number 25 of 81 for its establishment of the Supreme Court. Although was no change of substance, the motivation for amendment was not only to create a new look court, it was also consistent with the practice of other countries. Now, let's compare this with the first two amendments to the 2013 Constitution. One was on the youth quota in Parliament. Here there was no substance, but just to bolster legislative Section 20 of the Constitution by ensuring that youth are represented at the legislative level. But a closer examination, ladies and gentlemen, will reveal that Section 2020 adequately covered most of the youth requirements. By haphazardly amending the Constitution, legislators facilitated the creation of a dynasty by the executive. The president influenced the president influenced the election of his politically unknown son to Parliament through a youth quota, and subsequently appointed him deputy minister. While everything seemed to be above board and legitimate, that act alone violated the provisions of Section 18 of the Constitution. Having 3 members from same family in the executive arm of government is definitely not fair. Regional representation as envisioned by the Constitution. Then we had the removal of running presidential mates. We are talking of the vice president. This has no substance and was an indictment to the drafters of the Constitution, who were short-sighted not to notice its inconvenience to the electorate. We feel the vice president should have been elected rather than appointed, because right now probably we would be having their voice. If this amendment was actually setting the stage for ZANU-PF term extension resolution. The resolution was passed despite the fact that the incumbent expressed his unavailability. they went ahead and passed that resolution. The two VPs could not voice their concerns, even if they could have had different views, for they were just appointees of the president with very restricted powers and authority. They were wise not to voice their concerns to avoid the repeat of 2017, when the current president was fired unceremoniously on 6th of November. Again, this amendment facilitated power consolidation and marshalling and would be dissenting voice from the appointed VPs, and subsequently the application of nepotism and corruption. We will deal with the corruption as another debate sometime. Corruption is national occurrence that requires its own detailed analysis. It's our conviction that rushing to amend the Constitution is not healthy for the country. Amending the Constitution willy-nilly impacts negatively on the country's, thereby destabilizing peace and stability. It is also prevents term investment in our economy by both local and foreign investors. We need consistency. Now, our expectations as veterans of the liberation stalwarts, legislatures should not just rush to amend the Constitution before it is well understood by the people. Provisions of Section 7 of the Constitution be fulfilled before any further amendment was contemplated. At least 20 years. We are being very modest. We are saying 20 years. We are already maybe about 12 years down the line. America and other democracies, they have 300 years of a constitution which has not been tempered. Ours is not even, we haven't even dried the ink. We are changing it just to extend someone's rule. At least 20 years should be allowed for the current constitution to roll out and have all acts aligned to it before any amendment is done. That is 8 years from now. At least we could sit and start debating on state and statute so that we align with the Constitution. Not that if we feel that I've performed beyond anyone's expectation, we then rush to amend the Constitution. Reason, rationale, or justification of amending the Constitution should be presented and debated in Parliament before the process for amending the Constitution is commenced. This position should be legislated by amending the Constitution when the time is due. Not today, not tomorrow, not in 5 years, but safely in 8 years. Succession management challenges in any political party should not be regarded as a national constitutional issue. To us, it's a political party issue. It is not a national issue. As such, term extension resolution of ZANU-PF should be challenged as being ultra-virus to the Constitution and should therefore not be a basis for amending a Constitution. Our contemplated immediate action, ladies and gentlemen, according to Section 95 of the Constitution, the terms of office of the President and his vices are 5 years and conterminous with the life of the Parliament. Therefore, any national level action contemplated by any political formation should not and be seen to violate the Constitution. It follows that by passing a resolution to extend the term of office of President E.D. Mnangagwa, ZANU-PF violated the Constitution in that breaking the law. Surely, resolution by organizations such as our association to take up arms and fight the government because they are not happy with its policies to stand unchallenged. Likewise, we are consulting our lawyers with a view to ascertain the legality of the ruling party's resolution on October 24. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by emphasizing that we are an independent and non-partisan association. We do not interfere and have no interest in commenting on internal party democratic processes as long as the resolutions thereafter are within the confines of the law. We regard the resolution by ZANU-PF to extend the term of office of current administration as inconsistent with the constitutional provisions and as an attempt to manage their succession challenges by creating a constitutional crisis. We are not in a constitutional crisis. Let's bear that in mind. The memories of how Comrade Mugabe left office are still fresh in our minds, and we would not want a repeat of that. Our position is clear. A constitution is a sanctified document, those whose provisions cannot be changed willy-nilly and haphazardly. We demand that the provisions of Section 7 of the Constitution be fulfilled, firstly, before any other amendment is affected. We also condemn the manipulation done to two amendments, pointing and creating a dynasty and violating a constitutional provision of a fair regional representation. That's the end of my speech. I would want to escalate from there on, just try to expand on this because we are not here to attack an individual. We find ourselves on a defense mode where we look at the Constitution, the people's Constitution. It was passed and endorsed by the people of Zimbabwe. It cannot become a political constitution. The ruling party has its own constitution. It's entitled to read or amend it the way it fits. But here, as veterans of the liberation struggle, we are taking a defensive position to protect and defend the Constitution of Zimbabwe. I thank you. You can stand up and identify yourself, sir.
Thank you. My name is Yambiro Yaka.
Yambiro Yaka?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Comrade's
Yaka Yaka's son?
Yes.
All right.
I'd like to ask, what is your plan concerning everything that you said that's going wrong? What is your plan? Because now say Constitution, they're doing bad or they're doing something else to the Constitution, okay? It's not the Constitution. Now the Constitution of the government and the Constitution of ZANU-PF are two different things, okay? What is your plan?
All right, let me...
There are a few numbers here, okay? But your message is okay. So what is your plan?
Let me tell you what we are planning. You see, you are asking us as a constituents of veterans. We are representing a multitude of veterans. In the first place, we are where we are because we had problem or challenges with governance. If we had a functioning system in government, I don't think we would find ourselves in this quagmire. Before I answer about our plan, what made us find ourselves inviting each other to announce our stance to defend and protect the Constitution is because we have realized that the amendment of the Constitution will not benefit ordinary people, including ourselves. We are not special. We are simple, privileged and lucky that we participated in the armed struggle. And what we were taught under the trees were that we should come and ensure that Zimbabweans enjoy the freedom economically and politically, which is, as we speak today, in all honesty, for those that are brave enough, they will tell you that they are not enjoying the independence and freedom. And as war veterans ourselves, we are called to duty so that we can call to account our government and our ruling party, ZANU-PF, to revisit the founding ideals of the revolution. That's where we underline ourselves. We are no monopoly of wisdom. It's only it's common sense that when we all went to war voluntarily, by the way, no wonder why we find ourselves voluntarily expressing ourselves, because we are not under any payroll. We are simply saying the leadership that we mandated to rule this country is no longer submitting itself to the expectation of the people of Zimbabwe. Now, how we are hoping that we could ameliorate the situation. Yes, today we are announcing this to the media, hoping that the media will also share with the rest of the nation, because it would look like a common opinion out there. Everyone is feeling that we cannot amend the Constitution is sacrosanct. So our plan is to continue to engage ordinary citizens. You remember we were emphasizing on the need of educating citizens. Citizens at times, they get hoodwinked, they get manipulated by pieces of chicken. You can amend a constitution because you ate a piece of chicken. So it's our responsibility as veterans, and I hope even the media, and indeed society at large, it will be our responsibility from today. We are not going to rest our laurels. We are going to go out there engaging civil society, unions, whatever, even the religious. Thankfully, we had the religious sector announcing openly, though it was watered down by some quota of individuals who thought they are still benefiting on the status quo. But we are going to, it's our responsibility as citizens to engage with other constituencies. We get their views, and they say strength is in unity. We are protecting this. We are not going the partisan way. We are simply say, as citizens, we created this constitution. It's important that we must protect it and guide it. When you disrespect the constitution, that's where there is a contest for corruption. Now we find ourselves in a tribal. I don't know how to describe it, but as you can see, we have put all these, no to tribalism, no to nepotism, no to a dynasty. It's just because these are the things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. Ordinary citizens are unable to find paying jobs, because if I sit on a specific throne, be it privileged throne, that means I will take my relatives and everyone else is thrown under the bus. And we continue to say we are a united Zimbabwe. We are not. the reason why we exist is because we want to also access to the wealth of the nation, resources of the nation. We see our natural resources are not benefiting ordinary citizens. We see people where we have a class structure, where we have the super rich, who are black, mind you, super rich and super poor. There's nothing in between. So are we in an independent Zimbabwe? In our view, we are saying no. I hope I've responded.
Okay, thank you. Another question. Sorry. What is your solution or your plan? Another plan?
When you what?
What is your other plan between joining the whole war veterans and everything to instigate everything that you're saying? You're saying the constitution is messed up. Okay? What is your plan?
I've already mentioned about the plan. We are going to engage other communities.
Even culturally and everything. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, not necessarily culturally, because the constitution is very clear. All we are saying, we are going out sharing with the other constituents in communities and the like.
But you mentioned culturally. You said culturally, okay? And then I'm asking, what is your plan? Because now, look at our numbers. Some of them, the journalists, CFM.
But what has it to do with culture,
no,
comrade?
You say culturally. Okay? That's why I'm asking, what is your plan? Both culturally, both war veterans and everything. What is your plan?
You have been answered.
No.
That's
No,
what
I asked a different question. In the first place, what is your plan? Okay, culturally, you said culturally.
I'm not going
What
to
is it
give you
that-
my plan. Maybe he will.
I said, you are the one who answered.
Do I mention
so
culture?
what is
No,
your
he
plan?
mentioned it,
Because all
and then
these
you said,
people,
what
they-
is
they are
culture
all
got to
veterans
do with
here,
it?
Okay?
That's what I'm
So
asking.
I don't know whether
Okay,
he's a
what
bit
is your plan?
inebriated or what.
Now, how are you going to increase these numbers? Okay, because now,
I've already
Wait,
said,
because now-
Yaka,
now, you
Yaka,
said-
hang on. You want to hear what I'm saying?
yes,
We have already said we are reaching out because we are no monopoly of wisdom. We are going to reach out to institutions, unions, whatever you it's very easy because the constitution affects every citizen. So that's exactly how we are going to be doing it. Including yourself, we will engage you so that your generation, you can go and share whatever we are discussing here. It's not an individual's prerogative as such, but it's for all of us. I'm sure even journalists would want to see the Constitution being protected and respected. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Ndondolozi, I'm a journalist. So in the case, listening to what Mr. Gay said yesterday during our press conference, he mentioned that if the president continues on the unconstitutional path that others are teaching him to, he is going to support other constitutional means to ensure that he goes. Do you think you're going to do anything? Should we expect anything from him in the case that this attempt to continue the 2030 agenda continues?
Thank you. I think in the first place, the president, the incumbent, has declared his unavailability, right? I cannot confront the president when he said he's a constitutionalist, hence this. If he says it genuinely, my expectations obviously would have been he could have stopped even the nonsense that comes from the Mudas and those beneficiaries. But I'll still stand and still have hope that he still stands as a constitutionalist. My only challenge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the association, my only challenge is the legislatures themselves. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that would sit in parliament and deliberate on whether or not the constitution requires amendment. Those are the people who are going to be dealing with as an association. That's why we have even hinted that we will seek legal advice and subsequently legal recourse. We will have to fight it. We can't expect that a taxpayer people spend taxpayers' monies to make a referendum. It's not even necessary, because in the first place, in my view, the Constitution has already been violated, and we will do everything possible to protect the Constitution by all means necessary. All right, thank you, guys. The last one.
I was attracted by one of the statements on your T-shirt about no to dynasty. Has there been any hint that there will be a dynasty in Zimbabwe?
There is already one. We wouldn't be talking about what we are realizing that the people that we have mandated to run our country, they have decided that they will surround themselves with those privileges and use their positions to employ their relatives, their friends. That's exactly what is happening. We wouldn't really be sitting here complaining. Do you imagine even yourself, my friend, you have the wish to occupy a privileged position, but you are unable to do so. You know why? It's because the doors are closed. If you look at the current maybe government structure, we find that the cabinet constitute probably about 70 or 80% of people who come from a particular district. I'm not making up. It's a common knowledge. Some prefer not to talk about it, but is it fair in all honesty? When we all say we volunteer during the struggle, we exposed ourselves to the dangers. We could have been killed there, but we came back in the hope that the country was going to offer us opportunities based on merit. But we realized that when you are politically connected, that's only when you can make it. How about the rest of us who have no blue blood? So we are rising to that challenge, and we are saying, I think the majority of us who are not well off or not well connected, it's important that we unite and fight this scourge. Even today, the acting president hammered on the issue of corruption, on the issue of mbingas. Mbingas are protected by politicians who occupy those privileged positions. So personally, I have no problem with the mbinga. It is the person that opens the doors for a mbinga to thrive. That I have a problem with. All right. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. We shall be dealing inside the week. We shall be dealing with the next level, and we will inform you. But thank you for coming nonetheless. Thank you.
For these and more stories, tune in to Zim News Bit TV